It's
of all the ways to say
it's always been my fear to have to deal with Siobhan pregnant for 9 months. If you know her at all, that could be terrible.
It's true.
And this has been a really amazing, stress-free way to all of a sudden have a baby.
We've been married for 6 years.
Yeah.
And then engaged for 7. We got engaged really fast. We met on a trip in Mexico. We started dating.
We fall in love with things quickly, including each other. So Siobhan has always been very maternal and gentle-natured, and she's always had a big heart and has always been generous to everybody. Always tries to make me more generous. Just natural. It's like you're not even trying.
He's super playful. I think that's when he and Paul wrestle and play all the time. He's just really good at taking care of us.
I think we've both always wanted kids.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right from when we first got married, we've always talked about wanting kids and wanting our house to be full of people. We started trying to get pregnant probably about 4 years in. And then a year ago, almost to this time last year, we started fertility treatments here in Hamilton. And that was a process over 9 months, I guess, that we were doing that. And we really thought that fertility would be what brought a baby into our home. We didn't get pregnant, and then in August, Timo's dad just sent a text and he said, "Hey Siobhan, there's a family from my church. They have a baby that's up for adoption." We weren't even thinking about us. I just was like, yeah, sure. He sent that text message and I right away thought of quite a few people in our circle of friends who were looking to adopt or at least had started the process of adoption. And so I was like, yeah, I will reach out to them, no problem. And we did. Through that, I started talking to Paul's grandma, who was my point of contact with the family. And she and I just had some really great conversations. We talked probably for close to 3 hours on the phone, just in connecting her with these other families. But then as kind of that process went on, we realized either the families didn't live close enough or they didn't have the appropriate training, like pride training, which is something that you need in Ontario to be able to adopt. And so just it was looking like none of these families were going to work out.
We've never been frantic to have a child, so when we started fertility treatment, we were just like, when it happens, it happens. The Lord has a plan, and I think it would have been really difficult for us if the process dragged out a long time.
Yeah. And I mean, going through fertility treatments is hard. Every month when you find out you're not pregnant, that's hard. And I was getting, I don't know, at the beginning, the first couple of times, I just, was like, okay, it's part of the process, a couple more months.
We were starting to get discouraged a little bit.
Yeah, I remember in July, finding out we weren't pregnant, and I cried then, just because it felt like a lot of months. And so it just was so funny that the very next month we met Paul.
We asked for a picture of Paul to send
to one of them.
Yeah.
And then Timo was like,
And then when I saw the picture, I was like, it's my blonde-haired, blue-eyed baby. Give me that baby.
So then he sent me text messages every day with Paul's picture saying, adopt me. Adopt me. I felt like fertility treatments was what was the process that we felt like we were being led through. Between Timo saying adopt me and the Lord, we realized we should pursue this.
I was surprised also at my own openness to adoption, because in the past I hadn't even thought about wanting to adopt. I mean, I liked fostering, but I always wanted to have our own kids. Even as soon as I saw a picture of Paul, I was like, yeah, okay, I don't care.
Timo's always wanted a blonde hair, blue-eyed baby.
It's true.
And my genetics would probably win out over
They would
blonde
squash
hair. Yeah, I was kind of nervous. Because at that point, you know, I knew that other families weren't, just the situations weren't working out. I remember I was sitting right outside that window, and she had called me when we were coming in the driveway. I was sitting outside that window, and I was like, okay, well, this is probably the time to bring it up. And so I said I just said to him it had been a couple of days that I said, I'll talk to her about it. And we prayed over, I think it was over a weekend, and we prayed about it, and I just felt really settled about asking her. But I was still nervous because it is, you know, it's a process. I called her and I just said, you know, Timo and I know that none of the other families have worked out. We've been praying about it, and we would be really open to starting the conversation about adopting Paul. And then she just kind of said, oh. And then I was like, is it a good O, a bad O? And then she started, you know, just kind of asking more questions about what we did and where we worked. And so we kind of left the conversation. I don't remember how we left it, but I remember we talked quite soon again. And she came back on. She said, I've been stalking you on Facebook a little bit. I think a lot of it was just her getting to know us and getting to know me a little bit. Paul was living with his great-grandparents, and so at some kind of point through those conversations, we just decided it was time to meet him, for the great-grandparents and Paul's grandpa to be able to meet us. And so we went over to their house one evening, and I was really nervous. I was nervous that, like, I would feel no attachment to Paul at all. I was nervous that we would feel attachment and the grandparents wouldn't like us. So we went over and we got to meet him. He was in his pajamas already because it was in the evening. And we went upstairs. He was kind of sitting in a little playpen, or in like this little play area. And the minute we sat down to say hi to him, like, he crawled right up onto my lap. I was pretty sold pretty much from then. I was like, done. And yeah, we had a great night with him. It was really, that night, I think my favorite thing was watching, because he was a very busy baby and he was just crawling everywhere, and watching Timo play with him and like airplane him around the kitchen was one of my favorite things to see. Paul took to Timo really quickly too, which was great. We were surprised how fast we attached to Paul.
The most difficult thing for me was seeing his great-grandparents and grandparents love him so much, and even his birth mother loves him so much. And to know that he has to go to a good family, and that good family can be our family, was exciting. But at the same time, seeing their pain and the struggle for them, because they're so attached to him, to see for them, knowing it was a positive thing, but at the same time a difficult thing, was really hard for me to watch. And I think now that he's been with us for a little while, they realize that we still want him to be connected with them and still want them in his life. And I think that they're doing better now with the whole process, but initially it felt like we were just taking this child away from his family, and it was difficult to get excited about it because I was feeling their pain a lot.
And we've just been so lucky to have such a good relationship with his biological family, and it's something that's been really important to us, is for him to keep all of the connections in his life, and it's been pretty cool to how that's evolved over the past couple of months. They're the most incredible family, and I think through this whole process that Paul has just been so loved. There's no way that Paul would be with us, living with us now, or that he would be a part of our family without their support. And we realized it was 40 hours in, like, Timo was like, I love him. And
it's a weird thing.
It was crazy how fast we just felt like he was ours, and just felt like a really strong peace that to know through the process that he was meant to be ours, and how fast we fell in love so fast with him. It's crazy. We were surprised by it.
It's the blue eyes.
Such a good little hiker.
Paul, in his own way, has been the perfect fit for our family. And we look at like these different traits that even as a baby that he has, it's pretty incredible to see how he is such a good fit.
I think when it comes to kids, they sneak up on you. They drive you crazy, but you can't help but love them. And I think that your life is enriched a lot more by spending time with whoever the child is, in our case with Zach and Paul, and they teach you so much about yourself. And I laugh a lot more having Zach and Paul around to do ridiculous things. And it's fun to have somebody to share things with, so going on hikes or going on drives, it's much more enriching to do that with somebody else. And you just find as you do day-to-day things, it sneaks up on you how much you end up caring about them.
At whatever point a child moves in, like, you'll love them, and you don't feel like I don't feel like we missed out.